All right, today I am installing furring strips in the ceiling of our van. It should be a fairly simple process and super similar to the wall furring strips. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's packed with tons of info and will definitely help you out. Also, I'm going to have markers throughout the video so you can scroll to whichever section you want to be at. So with that being said, let's get into the products and the tools. All right, so here are the products and tools. So we have our boards right here. So these are gonna be our ceiling furring strips. We've already cut them. There's one already up there actually already, but so we're gonna be putting furring strips from the back end right here all the way to the front except for this one right here. And then obviously we're gonna make some different sized ones for there on the headliner, so stay tuned. I'll tell you how to make those as well. As for everything else, we have our kills too, which is what we painted on here to protect it from the moisture, our drills and impact. So we also have a tape measure like usual, pencil, Play-Doh, show you how to use that later. And then we have our paddle bits, or you can use like a drill press. So this is what's gonna do that counter boring. We have our M8 bolts right here, and these are 1.5 inches. And then we have our M5 bolts, which are 1.5 inches as well. Moving on over here, we have our rivetnut set. So we have our Astro 1450, which I will show you how to use this later. We have some Allen keys and ones that we'll put in the impact. Then we have our rivetnut set. So this has an assortment of a whole bunch of different sizes, and they all listed right here. So I will drop all of this stuff in the description below so you guys can purchase this. And then for our final piece, we have this. So there's some spots where you can't actually get the rivetnut tool into. So all the way back there, we cannot get our rivetnut tool beneath the headliner, so that's why we purchased this. This is a must if you are going to be putting a furring strip in your headliner. We have number 14 1.5 inch screws that are self-drilling. So we are going to use these on the frame, the furring strips on the back of the van. Also, I forgot to mention you're going to need M6 bolts on this furring strip right here. I know we have M5 marked, but that's wrong. So for this one, with the one that's different from everyone else, you're going to need M6 bolts. So that's all you need. So let's get into step 1. All right, so we have 3 boards right here. So we actually already put up 2 of them, which are behind my dad right now. This board is gonna go up in the headliner, so we're just gonna set it right there. Something that's a little bit different about these ribs are that this one right here, you'll know it's different because it's not got one of these thicker pieces. But so this is different. So this one's actually smaller than the other ribs in the van. So this one will go right above, and these are the same throughout the van except for that one right there, like I just mentioned. So this one will fit in here perfectly behind the grooves. So when you put it up there, it should align perfectly between this. And if you go any farther, it's gonna start to bow and you're not gonna want that. So I suggest ending it right here. And obviously we have our rivetnuts right there, and we have 4 across the entire rib. And the one that's shorter, we have 5 on it. 5 on it, but all the rest have 4. And also, the boards, we are counter boring them, so when we put a board on it, it will sit completely flush. I'll show you more in depth how to do this one back here later in the video, as well as the one on the back. What else do we need to talk about?
Not to worry, there will be no pictures or video of caterpillars or spiders.
That's right. The way it should look is it should sit completely in here and only move a little bit. So I will actually I put rivetnuts in here already, but I'm gonna be skipping this rib and just putting one here and one on the rest. But I'm skipping this because it's just so close. I don't feel like it's need the support. Also, another thing to mention, a lot of these in the ceiling are M5, but as you'll see on some of the ribs, we are using M8. Usually it's just on the end right here, but the rest are M5. So now let's get into the next step. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to use the Astro 1450 tool. So you're gonna take your rivetnut and make sure you get correct mandrel, and then you're gonna open the arms, not fully extended, but to a little bit lower, to right about there. Then you're gonna put the rivetnut all the way on. You don't gotta do it super tight, but. So we're going to put this one in, put it up in this little square bit, push it all the way up in, and then you're gonna squeeze down on it. Then you're gonna open it back up, tighten it up some more until you hit the brim of it. And then you're gonna squeeze it a little bit more. Don't over squeeze it because you could mess it up in there. So just like that. And now it's in there nice and tight. Definitely get a tool to draw this down faster, but that's how you install your rib nuts. So now we're going to put Play-Doh on the board and we're gonna press it up in here. Pull it out really fast. You wanna be quick so it doesn't get stuck in there. It's definitely not easy like you'd think.
It's not for the faint of heart. You learn and you get good by the time you're finished.
Perfectly
aligned, yeah. Maybe it's one person should do it.
Yeah, all right. You want to just press in the middle?
Yep.
Ready, set, go. Kinda got that one, got that one, got that one. All right, so now that we have it pressed in, we have all of our markings. Boom, boom, boom. This one is a little faint, but it's there. So now we're gonna go move over and mark where we drill. All right, so we were actually just gonna plow drive straight through it, just like that. And then, actually, probably shouldn't do that because we're gonna get wood shavings all in it. So we're actually we're gonna mark it with a nail and a hammer. And these ones, remember, these three are M5 and that one's M8. Also, clamp your stuff down. So I will show you next step when we repeat this on all of them. All right, so there's our furring strip right here. It's not up yet, but all of our other furring strips are in for the ceiling. So now we're moving on to this one. And we're actually not going to be installing the back row furring strips yet because we need to install our radiant barrier, and that is our final step before we put our self-tapping screws in there. Moving over here, first step is to get our board cut and painted and ready to be Play-Doh'd. We've measured that. Now we're coming over here, and first thing you're gonna wanna do, so you see these gray clips right here, you're gonna wanna pop all of these out. Just pull down on them. So the best way I found is to get one of these little pry bar tools. Use your finger to wiggle it around, get it loose. Because when you try and pull it down, it just doesn't really come out. So wedge it in there, just like that, and pull it out. So take out all of these. So now just take this and just push it to the back, get it out of our way. And now we're gonna use our new rivetnut tool to get up here because our other one obviously can't fit up here. All right, so before we make our holes in our wood, I kind of just want to show you guys how this tool works. So this is what we bought to be able to get up in here and put our rivetnuts in.
Where'd we get that?
We got this at AutoZone. So if you want to get it, like you need it today, and if you would rather order it online, you can also get these online as well. I believe it was like only 20 bucks for this. It's basically a rivetnut tool, but super tiny. Yeah, and it comes with all the rivnuts that you'd need for up in here and more. So all you're gonna need actually is a 5/8 wrench for this and a 10mm socket bit. So also your impact. Now that we have our rivnut on there, we're just gonna tighten it up so everything's pretty sturdy. So pretend this is the van. We've put the rivnut in the hole, so we're gonna put the socket. We've put it into the metal van, so you're gonna put the wrench on here. Make sure your torque driver is in drive mode and not reverse, and you're just gonna go very slow with this. So and then that's how it's going to look inside of the van. So the same thing as a torque wrench, but you're using this. So put it in reverse. So now you can just take it out.
Voila.
So now let's go into the van and do it. So we have our impact, and we actually have this little adapter right angle piece, which you should definitely get for this. We'll just pop it on just like that. Let's start off with, so you're gonna pop it in there. I don't know if you can see that, but now you're gonna, all right, it's in.
Check it periodically so you don't over torque it.
All right, so now we're gonna reverse it. Just like that. Got a riv nut in there.
Yeah?
Ah. All right, so now we're gonna do one right here. So M5. Ready. That feels pretty sturdy. Shoot. Oh, that ain't cool. So with that happening, we need to push it in there more actually and give it some more. All right, now we're gonna reverse it. There you go. So we are doing the low E on the ceiling now. So actually, since it's fit for the walls, it's like it goes straight up to the walls. You're gonna take it and hold it up to the ceiling, and you're gonna notice that it goes outside of the van. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold it up with one arm. Since our girlfriend is holding the camera, we're going to hold it up to right there, and then we're gonna mark where we're gonna cut this off. So probably right about here. So right there is where we're gonna cut off this whole chunk, and that entire chunk we're gonna use on other things, like we can use it on the door and the rear doors. We are also going to be cutting in holes for the MaxxAir vent and our AC unit. So stay tuned, I'll show you how we do that. All right, so you're gonna wanna get your girlfriend to just sit on it like this, and then
hold it down.
I am using a hacksaw. Probably not meant for this, but...
You should set it up instead. I can't hold it, the camera.
What? Actually, it's an amazing idea. Thank God I'm so smart for this.
God, if your fat girlfriend.
True.
Humongous.
Bro. Look at that. All right, so here we're bringing down our solar wiring, and we're gonna go ahead and start by the headliner, and we're gonna stuff it in the back. So once I unravel the whole thing, we're gonna cut it at the end. And once we cut it at the end, you're gonna have your girlfriend sit on the end of it and then go back to the headliner, and you're gonna start stuffing it back there and putting your furring strip in. So you're gonna be putting holes in the bottom of the low E where the riv nut is, and then you're gonna go ahead and fasten that down, and that's gonna hold the low E in. So you're gonna slowly start making your way to the back. This is a tedious process, but I promise you it's worth it. Also, you're gonna need to cut a hole out for your MaxxAir fan. Pretty simple, just get it approximate. Alright, so once you get to this point, wherever your solar wire is, you're gonna wanna put your furring strip to hold it up, and then you're gonna hold it up here, and you're gonna wanna poke a hole through here so you can feed the wire through there. What?
It's just my sinuses. They make a weird smell when there's too much coldness in them.
Boom. Just like that. Along with all your other wires. Alright, so now that we're on the rear end of the van, you're gonna have a few things you want to check out. So up here, there are some little notches that we want to pass by. So there's one right here, there's one right here, and there's a couple over there. That's why we made 1-inch little furring strips. So these are gonna go right up into the grooves in here. Self-tapping screws, and we will just shoot straight through the metal
which we don't typically want to do, but for this one, it's just kind of given. And then we will cut off all the excess. We got one in. That's beautiful. All right, so with all the low E done in here, there's only a couple things we need to do. We also have our low E seam tape, so we are going to use this to seal off all the edges. But first, we need to stuff some low E in all of these spots so that is covered. I messed it up and overlapped it over there. I'm also going to be doing this part later, but any part that has a seam showing, you're going to want to put the low E seam tape over all of it. So it's kind of confusing on this side. Now we are completely done with our low E. We decided to put some in the doors. We've got a ton left over there. As you can see, it is literally everywhere. We used our low E seam tape. So now every single bit of this van is insulated. We have seamed off every single bit, even our max air fan. So that is all there is to it. And if you want to keep following the journey, sub and follow the journey. So if I missed anything, drop some in the comments. And yeah.